Okay.
Call the meeting to order at 5:02 with Claire Kellogg, Laura Ingham, myself, and Fred Haynes, D.A. Hillerbrand, and Dan Millard in attendance, as well as Maureen Cole and Linda Eckerson. First is approval of the minutes.
I move the minutes be approved
Second.
as written.
Is there a second? There's a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes are approved.
Oh. Yeah, can you put that up? There we go.
Minutes are approved.
Perfect.
Moving on to number 3, for public comments. Are there
Come on,
any
Bruce.
public comments?
You're sitting in public again.
Okay.
I have a question. Is this
Yeah.
where we would get the foundation's information if they come?
Usually we would put that under communications at the
Communications.
bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, okay. Great.
All right. Moving to item number 4, selection of chair and vice chair.
I thought that had been settled, the chair.
Well, typically what we've done is the person that's been acting as vice chair, we've kind of just moved and unanimously voted that that person is chair, as long as, I mean, we've done that for the last few years.
I so move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wow.
Okay, then you guys do need to have a vice
Okay.
chair.
So, do we open up for nominations for vice chair, or if
Yeah.
people want to step forward if they're interested in serving as vice chair?
I nominate DA.
I'm here for another reason.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to be
I
an
nominate
administrator.
Dan Millard.
I withdraw that one.
Show up.
No, decline.
Fred,
Pardon?
interested?
Sure, I'll do it.
Oh, good.
Excellent, thank you.
I didn't hear you. These guys were talking, so sorry.
Yeah, he doesn't. Did Fred
That's-
Yeah, Fred was forced to volunteer, yeah.
Okay, so, what,
Want to vote on that?
you guys want to vote?
You have to vote.
On Fred or?
Haynes. Fred
Okay.
Haynes.
Fred as vice chair.
We'll take a vote for Fred Haynes serving as vice chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any? That was all of us.
With the loudest ones coming from the people who declined.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Want to make
Yeah.
sure.
And thank you, Fred.
Yeah,
for
this
being
silent
willing to-
train coming.
Right.
Okay. Next up, we're very efficient tonight. Next
are.
up is the library director's report.
Okay. So, let's see here. Get my stuff in front of me. Correct stuff.
There it is. Next one, 5A. is
Oh,
the
oh,
document.
that's right. Okay. Now I can do it. Okay. Yeah.
So I just wanted to point out that the trend in circulation is down a little bit, and I'm keeping my eye on that because I think it's kind of weird.
Is that what you said last month, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been down just very slightly, over time, but there seems to have been a bigger jump in the last couple months. So I don't know exactly what that is all about. That's even when you include the ebook circulation back into that.
I'm curious if other public libraries have noticed a decline as well, if you
I
have any
should
comparable
look- yeah.
statistics on that.
We're having our retreat this Friday, all of the Clackamas County ones, so I will make a note of asking about that.
Did you, I can't remember last month, did you say whether it was in certain categories, adult,
looked.
J, or?
I haven't really looked. Yeah. I don't really have time to go that granular on my reports,
Well, the
So-
statistics wouldn't they show that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't really have time to go into it that much. As far as areas, I could break it down as far as like adult, teen, and youth, or
That's what I
kids.
meant.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can let you know that next.
Yeah, but it shows it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
The juveniles
Mhm.
down
There you go. Yeah.
Right, it does.
by 2,000, and then adults.
Mhm.
Down by 2,000. So it's really looks more like the.
Or no, wait,
kids.
no.
It's
Yeah,
21,000.
and some of that is a
Well-
little bit artificial because they were breaking out YA from We now break out YA from juvenile, and they didn't before. You know, you can see that this time last year we didn't do that. So some of that's a little bit artificial because it's going into the YA category now as opposed to the kids category. So, but it's still down, you know, overall. So,
But the juveniles more, the percentage looks like it'd be higher, quite a bit.
That's last fiscal year's.
Oh,
Yeah. Current's the current closest to the left.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but overall for the whole year, we're down like almost
Yeah.
15,000.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and let's see. And library to go is up, but it's
Yeah.
only up 2,500. So, you know, it just doesn't make up for that huge gap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, we don't have the numbers of library to go stuff anyway, you know? So,
I'd be curious to know though what other libraries are experiencing, if it's similar or if it's
yeah.
specific.
Well, I'll try to remember to ask.
Okay.
So there's that, and however, you know, like reference questions, programs, collections, materials added, library to go, you know, so we're still up in some categories. So I just think it's something to keep our eye on and find out, yeah, like what's happening elsewhere. We had a couple of good-sized events in December. December already seems so far away. And then on the building update, we can just kind of, are there any other questions on statistics specifically before we go into that? Okay.
It looks like volunteer hours are down too.
Yeah, and you know what? Was not able to add the bookstore volunteers onto this before it had to go out. The volunteer hours are actually up because there were 300 hours from the bookstore last
Okay.
year, so that's 306, and that would put us up 150 then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sorry, I just don't always get that in time for this thing to be published.
Sure.
So, yeah. Any other questions about statistical or library events or anything like that? Okay.
Okay.
Before we leave tonight, though, we should tell you about upcoming events. Why don't I just tell you about that now? So tomorrow night, we're having Amanda Copland, who wrote The Orchardist, who, I don't know if you guys have read that, but she's like a very young and up-and-coming author, because that was her debut novel, and it was amazing. It's set in Washington State, and it was just wonderful. Our book club loved it. And so she's coming, and her book was just named as a finalist for the Ken Kesey Fiction category of the Oregon Book Award. So that's really exciting. That was so great that it was just happened, you know, yesterday or day before, whatever. So she's coming, and then we're having a chicken keeping thing at the end of I hope you're going to be there.
My mother-in-law's probably going to be
Awesome. Yeah, because so many people want to keep chickens or do keep chickens or whatever. Yeah, the former state librarian now keeps chickens. He posts about it on Facebook. It's hysterical. And then, as you know, at the end of the month is our big event with Phil Margolin and Greg Noakes. And the other really exciting things is Greg Noakes' book was named as one of the top 10 books of the year from this region to get published. But then also he is a finalist in his category of the Oregon Book Awards as well. So, I mean, I think that's pretty darn cool. Because Phil Margolin is kind of the star as far as, like, you know, how much he's done and everything else. But for Greg to get this as a finalist it's awesome. So that gets decided in March. But they'll be at Atkinson Church on January 30th. And I just really hope that a ton of people turn out. You know, I hope that Phil's name recognition draws a bunch of people, because I think it'll be really, really interesting for them to talk about slavery in early Oregon, which is the focus of both of their books, from completely different angles. So really, like, those of you who are in book clubs and stuff like that, really encourage those people to come out for this, because I think it will be really fascinating. And they're doing the same thing, like, somewhere else. I forget where it is, not Tigard maybe. And I was like, dang, they got that idea from us, man. I mean, I'm sure Phil suggested it to them or whatever, you know? Anything for like some free publicity. But so there's that coming up. And then just a note that Kim Stafford, whose book Early Morning with My Fathers is our like community-wide read that we need to start promoting. He's coming April 20th, I want to say. Does that sound right? April 20th, 21st? 21st, that Monday. And his book was also, he's also a finalist for an Oregon Book Award, which is really cool that we have 3 Oregon Book Award finalists coming. Not just
for that-
nominees, but
Not
finalists.
for that book, though.
Huh?
Not for that book, right?
I thought it was.
Oh, really? No, that's an old book.
Oh, okay, so that's the was it the boys thing or whatever?
Yeah, maybe his brother, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's pretty exciting. So that's what I got on upcoming programs. Then, any questions about that before we move on to building stuff? Okay. So the good stuff. So
I didn't want to save it, I wanted to open it.
tomorrow morning, DA and I and Tony Conkle and David Frazier. Don't look at me like you don't know about this. Okay. Okay. And Krista from Cressa will meet here to review the proposals that we got back. We got 3 proposals back from really, really outstanding firms with lots and lots of library experience. We got THA that did the renderings, of course, and we got FFA. They helped with Central Library renovation, didn't they? And then SEA, Scott Edwards and Associate, and they did the Sunnyside Library, the new Sunnyside Library. So really, and that is a renovation. That's a building renovation, and they did a really creative and good job with it, I think, because that was kind of an icky, tricky space from what I've heard. And so with 3 really, really great candidates. So we're going to meet tomorrow to just kind of get on the same page with the committee, and then next week on Thursday we interview them, and we have like interviews at like 9, 10:45, and 1:30 or something like that. And then if there's follow-up to do, like calling references or something like that, then we'll have to do that. But we're going to be able to make a decision pretty soon.
That's great.
So that will be super, super exciting.
Who decides?
Selection committee, I guess.
Those
Yeah.
of you meeting
Yeah.
on this?
Yeah. Yeah. But then a contract has to be negotiated and all that stuff, and so that eventually, that comes up to the city commission. And so, knowing the city commission, they'll want your guys' stamp of approval on all this. So hopefully we can do that as early as possible. I don't know, I may have to
What's the timeline on the decision?
well, we want to get them going in February,
Okay.
And so, yeah, we'll see.
And then where does the general contractor come in?
Well, that doesn't get done immediately.
Okay.
That's a
And we
little
talked
bit.
about that.
Yeah, that's a little bit. First, we have to get the project manager in there, and then the project manager can help us with all of that too. So I'm writing the RFP, and DA is helping me, and a few other people are looking at it as well for the project manager, and I'd like to get that published as soon as possible, but hopefully by the end of the week. But kind of like looking at my calendar, I'm like thinking, no, Monday is more realistic. So, so we've got that going and ready, very, very close to being done. So that's moving along, and then the other major thing is the bonds. So, last month we had our Bonds 101 review, and since then I've sat down with the finance director here at the city, and David Frazier. All 3 of us have met together, and as well as the bond underwriter who did the Bond 101 PowerPoint presentation, and bond counsel, who is the person that starts writing up the ballot stuff, the language for the ballot stuff, which actually has to come from like a specific bond counsel. It's a very specialized thing. And then our city attorney has to look at it, and all kinds of eyes have to go over that. So the language for the ballot is getting drafted. But what we need to do here as a group is we need to approve moving forward with the bond election in May. And there's a couple different, there's three things that need to be on the ballot, in the ballot language. The upper limit, the maximum limit of what we want to borrow, the upper limit of years that we're going to finance it, and what the project is for. So I think we all know what the project is for capital improvements of the library, and we'll, like, you know, they say that in a way that, like, would be all-inclusive of everything we need to spend this money on, and allow us a great deal of flexibility while still remaining capital project. And then, you know, the limit, the upper limit, we've pretty much agreed over time, as we've looked at all the financing, to be $6 million.
Right.
So a lot of the decision of, the last decision is the length of time. And if you, let's see here. Let me just go down to this because we're now on number 6.
6A.
6A.
Yeah. 6A. So, let me see. I don't know if I can pull this up. Can you guys look at that PowerPoint
It
presentation?
didn't come up
It
earlier.
didn't come up earlier.
You've got an incorrect extension on there. Is the
Yeah.
Is
problem.
that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you drop the X off of it, we might be able to look at it.
Ew. I don't know how to do that.
Just
from here.
rename it.
Huh?
Just
Rename
rename
it.
it without the X at the end.
Yeah, but rename it where? I mean, I don't have it like available to me to rename. Do you see what I'm saying? This is loaded somewhere in space.
Which document was it?
Oh, wait. Let me look here.
Tried to load it off of 6A itself, not the piece underneath.
Let's see if that works. Hold on. It might work.
Once.
Okay, because over there.
And then it wouldn't do it again.
So then this.
Yeah, it's got the
This is
wrong
what she sent
extension on it.
and what
That's
Not gonna
happens.
load.
Yeah, if it's just PPT, it'd be,
Yeah,
it'd be okay.
exactly. Right.
I'm trying. Hold
Yeah.
on. Open, save,
Yeah.
open. I don't want to save with this file. Ah, okay.
What's this one?
Mhm.
Save as. Okay, hold on. We're getting there. Whoa. No, we're not.
Mhm, yeah.
Oh, it's all scrambled in here. When I open it, it's all nothing but numbers. That's not going to work.
Well, you could hold it. I don't know what she wants us to see. We'll have to do with some papers here that
So-
have some of the information.
Okay. So sorry about that. Hold on. So the one major slide that I wanted you guys to see is this one. Remember this one? Okay, well, I can just talk about this.
We have a copy of it. for-
You do have a copy of it? Here, pass this down.
Did we get a hard copy of that art
Pass it.
before?
Do you have the three of you guys can look over it?
Okay.
This is from the PowerPoint,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
right?
I've got one more back here. Is this the one? Yeah. Oh, great, okay, thanks. Here's two more, we're in good shape.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, so we've been operating on the, with the number of $475,000 per year being the maximum amount we can afford, and we've worked through those numbers and everything else. So we know we can afford that. But we started playing around with the option of like 25 years at a little bit lower rate. There's pros and cons to this. The con being that of course, the interest is like you pay a lot more interest.
Right.
The pro being that it's a little bit easier on the library annually. What you pick up is like $25,000 a year, which is not a lot when you end up with $1.5 million more interest, right? So Wyatt, the finance director, has looked at all these numbers in like a multiple number of ways, and no matter which way you cut it, it's it's going to be more interest. I mean, even though that there's a savings to you annually and et cetera, right? So as David Fraser says, what would you, if it was your own money, what would you do? And which is a good way to look at it, right? And I think most of us would go for the 20-year because it may be a little bit more painful, but it's way shorter. The one thing we were looking at was the possibility of paying it back early. So like get the 25-year loan, pay only $450 annually, sock away $25,000 or whatever, and see if you could pay it off early. But I don't think we could save enough to do that. But that, who knows? Maybe you'd get a big gift. Maybe you'd have a fundraiser. Whatever. So that could be a possibility. But after we ended up talking to bond counsel yesterday, and her advice is, she says, remember, you can't go back and ask for more time. And you cannot go back and ask for more money.
Right.
This is your one shot. And in your ballot measure, you don't say how much you're going to pay per year. This is all to be figured out later. Because, by the time you do all that stuff, interest rates have changed. Lots of things could have changed, So, so what you try to do in the ballot is put the information that you think will sell with people, but that gives you the most flexibility. So what she recommends is that plan on the 20 years, but ask for the 25, because then that gives you more time, and then you can decide later how you're gonna set up the exact deal, because you cannot go back. So we need to make that decision today.
Okay.
Yeah. Questions?
Okay, well, my comment is, when you look at the bond proceeds between the two, just using these two, you're gaining, what, 100 grand, basically, to extend it out of 5 years. So you're really not getting enough. I don't think you're getting enough front-end loading to make it worth the 25. And I'm also under the impression that you're going to see a lot more bonds in the market at 20 years than you are at 25. And so 25 will require us to pay a higher interest rate than the 20-year.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And so that's going to factor into this total interest at the bottom. Could even be worse, because especially as we have the prospect of higher interest rates in the near future hanging over us. The idea that, you want a 25-year fixed rate, well, then it's going to have to be a little higher.
Right.
So
What you say is true.
Yeah, and of course, so I advocate for the shorter term, even though that means we have to tighten our belt a little bit more.
Right.
I think we want to be in the middle of the bell curve of bonds that are going out for financing.
I would agree.
Well, and I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But do we want to say 25 years in the ballot just to give us that flexibility? You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're going.
I missed
I'm,
that.
I didn't
yeah.
quite
I think the
pick up.
question is, what is the public response to
Right.
that? What does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
And does that affect how people will vote?
And that's a very good point, and
Right.
that's why you guys are here as citizens, to kind of represent that public viewpoint.
I don't think we have any other guidance, though, do we? I mean, we would,
No.
there aren't any recent Oregon City bonds that have been
Right.
issued that would tell us anything about that.
Do people understand it enough to even make any difference?
Most people are looking at it from a tax point of view. How is
Yeah.
this going to impact me
How's
as
it
a
going to impact
citizen?
me? It's all
And for how long?
correct.
Are my taxes going up?
Right.
And they're
That's
not,
a good question.
and they're not going
They're
up.
not going up.
Right.
But I think that's going to be the first,
Right.
foremost question.
Right.
Are my taxes going to be lower
Mm-hmm.
because of that? So when
And
we
the secondary
address that-
question is always with money, how long is this indebtedness going to be? And usually, you don't want your indebtedness to stretched out with something like this, I don't think. Most, for instance, colleges don't stretch it out that long with their indebtedness on projects.
Do you think it would be very detrimental to the functioning of the library to the point where it would really?
No. You know, we were just like looking at worst case scenario, like what if our income from the district, like for some reason went like way, 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 way down. Just, you know, property values crashed, whatever, you know. And we were shy $300,000.
You know, we're well insulated against that, as we just learned with the 2007 housing crash. Values went down, real market values went down.
Right.
However, so many of these things were locked in under the law that only allows the 3%, is it 3% increase annually? So that the assessed values are so way behind the times on so many houses, on so much of the large percentage of the housing stock in our community or our service district. I would say that we have almost a guarantee that the assessor's going to keep creeping up even if you had a major housing downturn. Well, we just saw that.
Okay.
And we saw, especially in the suburbs, housing prices went way down because of people, you know, not wanting to live in the suburbs during the last gas crisis. So we've got a lot of reasons to think the tax assessor is going to keep whacking away as best he can at
Okay, well, that's good news for me.
Yeah.
Would there be some kind of crisis that, and then we would all be like in big trouble, that enough people like wouldn't pay their assessment, you know, that it would like impact all of us, and then it would end up impacting everything if we've got that many.
Well,
That's
you
for
know,
sure.
it's the city that's guaranteeing the deal anyway, so
Right.
we'll just step back and let the city pay for it.
Well, actually, it's a government, or it's a general obligation bond. It's actually taxes that guarantee this.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we could, if people approve this, we could up taxes at any time. If that, because that's what they're basically saying. But we're saying there's a revenue stream that would guarantee against it, and it would really have to be a crisis. You know,
That's
we're just
right.
trying to figure out.
I think so.
Yeah, we're just trying to like think of all scenarios,
Right.
and also, you know, I mean, Carol Samuels, who's the bond advisor, she said, you know, if you can, give yourself as much flexibility as possible. But if you guys don't think that would sell, that it's already difficult enough to sell the idea of a debt at all, and that making it longer would be detrimental, then we definitely should consider the 20-year.
Well, I have a strong fear that even 20 years is going to scare the public a lot.
yeah. Oh,
Even
yeah.
though we're saying it's not going to increase your taxes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think that's my opinion. I think the
Okay.
public would react negatively to that.
Okay.
How can we say it's not going to increase your taxes if we have the ability to do that?
I guess we have to say that we aren't planning to.
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
all we can. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
Believe
Yeah,
government.
but the thing is, remember when we looked at the bond,
Read my lips.
the bond presentation, the interest rates are so much worse for the other kinds of bonds
Yeah.
that it is not a good bang for anybody's buck.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, this comes along with it, and that's why. But I mean, you know, it's really a big jump when you're talking about millions of dollars, and you
You
know,
have the full faith in
the interest rates are really much worse. Yeah.
So do you need a motion from the floor? Well,
Yeah, and let's think about what the motion needs to have
yeah,
in it.
let's think
The
about
motion should have in it the length of time that you guys want to recommend, the length of time, the maximum amount of indebtedness, and the project, which is just, you know, library capital improvements is fine. Because we'll get descriptive. Do you want a pen or something? Yeah.
Said amount, length of
Point
time.
information question.
Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
That this presumes that foundation doesn't raise any money.
Yeah, this is not counting on those funds, just it doesn't, I mean, it hopes for
Library capital
money,
improvement.
and we can also like bond less or something when that actually happens,
Or you could repay faster.
yeah, we could do, that, but we're definitely counting on private donations, yeah. Yeah, we just don't want to factor them into the figures because we just don't know what it is, so.
So are
We
we
have a
in
motion?
agreement that the 20 years is what we would prefer to recommend?
I think we have a consensus, at least at this
At
end of the
this end
table.
of the table, we have a
I agree.
consensus.
I just
Okay.
think it will seem more fiscally responsible.
Right.
to
Okay,
spend
so
funds. Okay.
we need a motion.
So,
Yeah.
the motion on the floor is,
You need to make a motion first. So
Yeah.
you're going to make a motion.
okay.
I move that we set our time limit at 20 years, that our amount be set at 475 annual, and that it's for the stated intention of expanding our library.
We need that $6 million in there.
Yeah. The maximum
maximum-
indebtedness.
maximum of
indebtedness
$6
is $6 million.
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
So I have a question, do we need the 475 actually stated in there, or do we leave that alone?
I think you leave that alone. It's a max indebtedness of $6 million. I believe.
I don't think we
That's what
need it.
want,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do
So
you want to
our,
repeat?
so
repeat
our, ma-
them?
our,
Did you wanna remake your-
I move that we state in our bond issue that we will have a $6 million maximum indebtedness for a period of 20 years for the intent purpose of expanding our library.
Library capital improvements.
Yes, capital improvements.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye, aye, aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
next week at the city commission, I will report that to them,
Mhm.
and then also let them know that bond council is already working on the ballot language. And the ballot, the timeline is that the city commission needs to approve the ballot language no later than the meeting of February 19th.
So it's ready for the March 20.
So it's ready for the March 20 thing to go to the county, and then ready for the May 20 election. So I think we're like, we don't have a huge time frame, but we're right on the right time frame to get this done. Because the bond council stuff, it goes back and forth, and we like, chit and chat over like tiny little words and stuff that we think will sell, that, go over the best. But he said he would probably have a draft to us by the end of the week. So, I mean, it doesn't, it gets started very quickly.
When would we start promoting the election,
Like,
informing people and?
yeah. Well, a PAC is kind of in process.
But do we wait until it's accepted? So if we're giving it March 20th, we're giving the pamphlet deadline for that. There's just as soon as the council okays it, then we can.
Well, I'm working on some FAQs, and once those are final, I'll probably like post those immediately.
Okay.
And start getting that web page on our website beefed up. I think we're just going to end up with like a page on our website. We already have one started, and people are used to going to the web page, the website, the library website. And so as far as like other people actively like talking about it, I think we're going to have a PAC meeting relatively soon. I have to be like cautious about how I do PAC things.
What about signage?
And they would be people that would kind of look into that.
Pamphlets.
Yeah, they would be the people that would be
Okay.
promoting all that.
Okay.
And the foundation has a lot of interest in supporting them as well.
Great.
So, and the Friends as well. So,
Okay.
and we might hear more about that.
Maureen, do you want us participating in any further meetings at like at the city council meeting or anything to?
City commission one?
Yes, to support.
If anybody's available to come next Wednesday night, I mean, that might be nice. I don't think it's imperative, but it just kind of shows that, if they have any questions, you could be there and
That's
could
at
maybe ask.
7:30.
That's at 7, but who knows when the item
Yeah,
is.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, I know. Because they might ask about your thinking on the length of time or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So if you want us around it would be useful, okay.
that would be great.
Okay. They start at 7, but they have agenda items before we would be on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, once I see what the agenda is, how
Okay.
about if I send it to you
Yeah,
guys?
that'd be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to get a
Good.
sense of
That'd be
Good,
super.
yeah.
effective, efficient windows of time.
Yeah, because just sitting through the whole thing is,
It was interesting.
they are, I've learned a lot.
I
Yeah.
bet you have.
Some things I wish I never knew, yeah. Anyway, okay, thank you very much for that.
Okay, great. So moving on to item 7, communications. And it looks like we have some.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Linda Van Haverbeek from the city. Primarily from the foundation. We had a foundation meeting this last Monday, and we've had a change of leadership. It's that time of year. And Karen Martini is going to be whatever it is. We're working on our bylaws also. In different places in our bylaws it says president, other places it says chair. So Karen Martini has agreed to be our chair for this upcoming year, and I'm going to be the treasurer, and Claire is going to continue being the secretary. And we see that in the next 2 years that we're going to be coming much more alive and doing a lot of things, and so raising money. So we wanted you to know that. Also, since I was at the library, Friends of the Library today, because I'm the past chair, I would just tell you that we had a meeting today and took care of a lot of business issues, and we didn't have much more than that, did we really?
We talked about the goals of 2014,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
major goal is
Business issue.
to support this.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
How's-
Linda,
How-
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm just curious how the bookstore is doing in terms of sales over Christmas.
That's over Christmas they did very well.
Okay.
I think it's open to different interpretations for a fair amount of money. Some of us think it's not doing well for the Friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing very well for the building owner.
Mm.
We sell a lot of things. We have very low pricing, and so I don't think we made a lot of money this year. We made money,
Mhm.
especially since the farmers market made $3,000,
Yeah.
and so that's a lot of what the profit was.
Right.
What was the rest of it? But other people think it's doing just great.
Mhm.
We may say that our lease expires this year, and so we're looking into what we're going to do about that.
Okay.
DA, maybe you know.
I have a question about that.
About,
You're leasing space.
Yes.
And you have to pay something for it.
yes,
Are you getting a good deal? And is
we
the-
are below market.
Okay, and is the landlord taking advantage of the property tax abatement that can be done when he has a nonprofit?
We looked into that a few years ago, and the county told us that we were not eligible for that because we make a profit.
Oh.
And we're in competition with other bookstores.
Another bookstore.
Are you the Friends is not registered as a 501?
Yes, we are.
Because your
But they said
profits
be-
are being donated.
Yes, right, exactly.
So you're not
And so
really
we
profitable.
there's no way to dispute that.
I think there
Be-
is.
But the county denied us.
Oh, I'd love to talk to you about that further.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Because
that's
every little bit would help.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not in the county's interest, of course, but it's certainly in the public
Right.
interest.
Exactly.
But they are raising your lease, right? The amount of money?
Yes, every year for the last 5 years.
So
We've
if
had
anyone
an
knows-
increase every year. We don't know what they're doing this year. I would imagine that we're going to look at a smaller amount of square feet, but that's not settled either. So I want to be fair. I want to tell, the whole story, so.
But but it's almost $3,000 a month. It's a lot of money.
Just under,
And how much square footage?
over 3,000.
Yeah, A good size.
It's a good size.
Well, for Oregon City, that's not really under market at this point. So I think that's a really good bargaining point at this time. Lease rates have softened, and landlords don't want to admit it, but that is where we are.
And you know, well, I don't know the technical terms, DA. You know that we like sublease about a fifth to a quarter of our square feet to TRAG. And there was a number of machinations going on because we did not want to be the person that runs their store, because there's legal implications on that. They run their own store, but because we do the cash register and the credit card stuff, and you know, and sometimes we make a lot of money off of that, and sometimes we don't. And so I don't know if we're going to continue that relationship with TRAG. I think that might be a fair way to say we're looking into that.
So doesn't the city own the parking lot right over here that's right behind the bookstore?
Not the first one. They own the second one, or
No,
lease it.
they lease the second
Or
one.
they lease the second one?
Yeah.
But the first one is part of the building. that
I
we're
was just
building.
thinking about, all the food cart business. Well, why not a library cart,
How about food
3,000
cart
square
and
foot
library
number,
cart?
yeah, right. So,
Philosophy and fiction.
the
I
other
like
question I've
Yeah.
got is,
Fiction.
how do you become a member of the Friends or the
You
foundation?
fill out an application and pay your money. That's all.
Because I haven't done that, and I feel really bad.
Didn't I not pass one out,
I've
or
never,
Linda pass
I've never
one out?
seen an
Well,
application.
you can pick them up at the bookstore,
Oh,
and I can bring
okay.
some more.
And
They're-
the library.
At the library.
At the library,
Yeah,
too?
we have them at
Yes.
the library.
Well, if they're open by the time we're done here, I'm
yeah.
going there tonight.
They'll be
Great.
open
They'll,
till
yeah,
8.
they'll be open.
They're there.
You might have,
Okay.
it might be on the,
Turns out it is on the turnstile.
yeah, over by the couch.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
All right. Thank you, Linda.
Thanks for asking questions.
All
All right.
It clarifies things.
I did have one item that
Sure.
I think falls into this. Regarding our recent purchase of the parking lot across the street on the back side of the library, I'm just wondering if it's in our best interest to possibly put in a walk path that kind of cuts, put a stairwell into where that parking area is down to the
Yeah.
street.
When we get into this construction project and go farther into like what our whole parking plan is, then we definitely need to like look at that, because it's awkward to get to it. And
Well, getting into it is not bad. It's just once you park your car, then it's like, oh, I've got to go clear around.
yeah.
I did it today. That's why it came up.
Yeah, and I mean, we need to like make some decisions about, well, is that just going to be staff parking and just for the the buildings that work there, so that we get all those things off the street and not worry about the public up there, or what? I just don't even know. But yeah, I think we could do a lot to make it look nicer, and to be like a little. It's kind of all slanted and everything, and weird, and yeah. So that's a really good
So
idea.
just want to
Better
get it out
access.
there on record so we
Yeah.
at least have a note that, hey, we need to look at this.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
Good.
And I would add to that just a cross blinking light near Singer Hill
Yeah.
for pedestrian. I'm sure we'll look at all of that stuff.
That is already a funded project for Public Works.
Okay, that's
I
great
do
to
not
know.
know what the timing is on
Okay.
that, but I have been assured
Okay.
that is already a funded project in Public Works.
Hopefully
Well, that's
that'll align
excellent.
nicely
That's
with
great.
what
That's
we're
great.
doing
Yeah.
as well, too, to make it
Yes.
I know, yeah, and see, to me, that like changes the parking aspect a little bit as well, if you think you can get across Singer Hill without like, putting your life at risk.
Which you do.
Which, yeah, you absolutely do. I totally agree. I
very
hate that
dangerous.
corner.
It's
so
only
dangerous.
one block to go to the light, that
Yeah.
it's just not where you
Oh,
want
it's
to go.
not where people are going to go. No.
No.
I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense to put in the lit crosswalk. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Move to adjourn at 5:40.
Oh, wait, don't
Wait.
aren't
Oh.
we having a future agenda? I
I
was
think
going to
that's
ask
where we were. Were we-
about the
sorry.
library board. What, the applications, we're still.
Oh, the library board.
minus
That's a
one.
great question. So, so that hall has been reopened and reposted and everything else, and we have at least one applicant for our open position, and we will probably interview people in February at our February meeting. The deadline goes all the way up to like February 4th, but I think our meeting comes like right after that, and so we'll be able to like fill our position hopefully really soon. Yeah, good question, Claire.
Okay.
Any more future agenda items? Sorry, Claire.
Let's see, when are you doing the interviews with the architects? Will we have any information by then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we're doing that next Thursday.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Anything else? All right. We are adjourned at 5:47, 46.